Hey everyone! So today we are going to be making Kuromi, which is one of the best loved characters from Sanrio. And we are going to make this one especially with the tail as well. We don't have the tail right here, but I will include the tail in this pattern or tutorial. And yeah, we'll make it together step by step. If you're a beginner and you have some knowledge of crochet, you should be able to make this. But let's see how we go. Hope you enjoy it. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video and leave a comment if you haven't already. So the materials that you will need to make Kuromi are 4-ply cotton yarn in white or cream white, pink, whatever pink you have, and of course black. You can't forget the black. Now if you wanted to switch this up and have the purple looking one, of course you'd need purple as well. And then you will also need a 1.9mm hook. But if you don't have 4-ply cotton yarn, feel free to use whatever regular yarn you're used to and the hook that corresponds with that yarn type as well. Now, if you are using this 4-ply cotton yarn, I recommend a 1.9mm hook, but you can use anywhere between a 1.75 and a 3mm hook with 4-ply cotton yarn. You're also going to need a pair of 6 or 7mm black safety eyes, as you can see here. You'll also need a pair of cutters. You will need some fiber filling. And of course you'll need a couple of these pins just to hold the ears in place and maybe the skull in place when you get to that point. And you will need a tapestry or sewing needle. I recommend the sewing needle just because you can get the sharper point and it's a lot easier. But if you have a leather needle like this one, I find these the best to work with. Getting through the stitches and out the holes seamlessly, and it's just so easy to work with. So I recommend a leather needle, but if you don't have one and you only have a sewing needle or a tapestry needle, that's more than fine as well. Alright, let us get straight into it then. To start off our Kuromi, we're going to need white colored yarn, as you can see here. And we're going to start by making a magic ring. And if you don't know how to make a magic ring or you've never crocheted before, I have a beginner tutorial crochet playlist for you that you can go check out. Master some of those techniques. It shouldn't take too long. And then come back and you'll be able to complete any one of my tutorials. Then, since we've made a magic ring at this point, we are going to make 6 single crochet stitches inside this magic ring. But hold on, I just want to quickly show you the technique that I use for the single crochet stitch. The hook comes in the circle and it goes over the yarn, or in other words, the yarn comes underneath the hook as you pull it through, and then the yarn comes over the hook as you pull it through those 2 loops on the hook. We actually call that yarn under, yarn over. So have a look again. Yarn under first and then yarn over. Now you may not be used to that, but I recommend using that technique for this type of amigurumi. You can also use yarn under as well, but I just wouldn't recommend yarn over, yarn over. Another thing to note here as well is as you're pulling the stitches through, you want to have your hook come vertically across like that, and that just helps align those stitches a lot better as well so that it becomes straight. But other than those 2 things, guys, we can do this together. So we've got 4 single crochet stitches in the magic ring. This is number 5, and finally number 6, just like that. Then you want to pull this yarn tail at the back here. Pull it so that you can close the magic ring, closing that gap right there. And then you want to enter your hook inside the first stitch of round number 1 and make a slip stitch and chain 1, just like that. Now if you wanted to crochet in a spiral, feel free to do so. It's recommended. Just make sure you're using those techniques that I told you about at the beginning, and make sure you use a stitch marker as well so you don't get lost. Okay, this is round number 2, and I'm just gonna, for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm gonna finish each round with a slip stitch and chain 1. Feel free to copy along as well. That slip stitch and chain 1 shouldn't be too visible anyway. Okay, so for round 2, we are going to be making increases in every single stitch space. And can you see this yarn tail down here? I'm going to put it over my hook just for a couple of these stitches so that I can weave in that yarn tail as I work my second round. So I want to make it an increase. So here's the first single crochet, and then I'll make another single crochet stitch in that same space, and that's what we call an increase. Now when I go into my second stitch space, I'm going to have this yarn tail over the hook again, and I'm going to work that second increase now here as well. So that's the second increase, and maybe just one more will have the yarn tail come across just to really secure it in place, and I will work the third increase. There we go. So what I want you guys now to do is to work another 3 increases and finish with a slip stitch in chain 1 or in your spiral as you're used to. For round number 3, so we're up to round number 3, it's quite simple. All we're doing is making a single crochet stitch first, followed by an increase. So remember that increase just means 2 single crochet stitches in the same stitch space. So I'll show you again. We're just repeating this pattern along for round number 3. Single crochet stitch first, followed by an increase. And I just want you to complete that pattern for all of round 3. You'll have 18 stitches at the completion of round number 3. Alright, so we're going to begin now round number 4, and this is just a little bit of a different round. I'll take you through it nice and slowly so we can do this together and get this right. So let's start off with 5 single crochet stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and here's the 5th one right here. Now after the 5th single crochet stitch, can you see how this here is the 6th single crochet stitch if we made a single crochet stitch in this space? But instead we're not going to be working in this space. We're going to be working further below, and we call this a spike. A type of spike stitch. We don't know what type of spike stitch yet, but I'll tell you in just a second. So we're not coming here, we're coming directly below in this stitch space right here. And we're going to make a bubble spike stitch at the same time. So we got to wrap the yarn first, come down in this elongated stitch space, pull the yarn up, pull it up so it reaches the top of this loop over here, and then pull the yarn through 2 loops that are on the hook, leaving you with 2 loops on the hook at the same time. Then you're going to wrap the yarn again, come in the same stitch space, pull up the yarn again, and pull through 2. Now you have 3 loops on the hook. And let's just do this one more time. Wrap the yarn, come in here, pull up the yarn, pull through 2, and look, we have 4 loops on the hook right there. And at this point, you're going to pull the yarn through all 4 loops on the hook. And now we have just made our first spike bubble stitch right there, which technically corresponds to the first foot of Kuromi. From here, you're just going to make another 5 single crochet stitches. 1, 2, here's number 3, number 4, and number 5. And then in the same way that we did before, let's just work this so it's coming the correct way. We want to make that second spike bubble stitch. So we're not coming here, but we're coming right here. It's 1 stitch space below this top part. So come here, wrap the yarn, come over here, enter your hook through that space, pull it up, and pull through 2. And again, let's repeat this another 2 times. Pull up the yarn, pull through 2. One more time, wrap the yarn, come through that stitch space, pull up the yarn, pull through 2. You have 4 loops on the hook, and we're going to pull the yarn through all 4 loops on the hook. And that's our second spike bubble stitch right there. Now we're just going to finish off the round with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 single crochet stitches. And that is as simple as it gets. Not too difficult, I hope. If you're having difficulty with the spike bubble stitches, just keep practicing. You'll be able to get it soon enough. Now for rounds 5, 6, 7, and 8, so that's the next 4 rounds, you'll just be working 18 single crochet stitches. So that's 1 single crochet stitch in every stitch space. So remember, rounds 5, 6, 7, and round number 8, so that's the next 4 rounds, you are going to be working 18 single crochet stitches. So I will see you at the end of round number 8. And we are up to round number 9. So as you can see, we've just made rounds 5, 6, 7, and 8. As you can see here, we've got the 2 feet down below here, and we are up to round 9 now. So this is how we begin. We're going to start with 4 single crochet stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now here's just a quick disclaimer. If you're working in a spiral, You may need to adjust round 9 so that the arms are placed in an even position compared to the feet. So you just be aware of that if you need to do that. But here's the pattern. You've just done 4 single crochet stitches in white, and in the very next stitch space, we're not going to be working in it. We're coming further below and we're going to work that spike bubble stitch again. So remember, wrap the yarn, come further below right here, pull up the yarn, pull through 2, wrap the yarn, pull up the yarn and pull through 2, wrap the yarn, pull up the yarn and pull through 2. You've got 4 loops now on the hook, and you're going to pull through all 4 loops on the hook. There you go. Now we're going to complete another 7 single crochet stitches. That's number 2 for me, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, and number 7 right there. From here, same thing. Wrap the yarn. Don't come in this stitch space. You're coming down further below. Pull up the yarn and pull through 2. Repeat another 2 times. Pull up the yarn, pull through 2, and one more time. Pull up the yarn, pull through 2, and pull through all 4 loops on the hook, just like that. So now we should have 2 of our arms right here. And then for the remaining 5 single crochet stitches, you're just working single crochet stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and number 5, just like that. Finished round number 9. So there we go. We've got the 2 arms, we've got the 2 legs. It's looking fantastic. For round number 10, this is a slightly different round, and I'll show you why. You want to work first a single crochet stitch, followed by something called an invisible decrease. So with an invisible decrease, you want to work in the front loop of the first stitch, and then the front loop of the next stitch as well. Then you'll pull the yarn through those 2 front loops and pull the yarn through again. So you've just worked and made these 2 stitches below here into now 1, and we did that using the invisible decrease technique. Let us repeat that a total of 6 times. So single crochet stitch first, followed by an invisible decrease. So front loop, pull yarn through and pull yarn through. Let's do it again. Single crochet stitch first, followed by an invisible decrease, 2 front loops, pull through and pull through. Repeat that another 3 times to finish round number 10. We are now up to round number 11. And for round number 11, you want to be working in the back loops of round number 10. So see how I'm in the back loop right there? That's what you'll be doing around for this whole round 11. So you want to start off with a single crochet stitch. Then in the next back loop stitch space, you're going to be working an increase. 1, 2, just like that. Let's do it again. Let's repeat that. So first back loop is a single crochet stitch, and the second back loop will be an increase. So you can see here we've got single, increase, all in those back loops. You will do that for the entire round, and then we will come back together after round number 11. Round number 12 will be done as follows. We've got single crochet stitch first, another single crochet stitch, and then an increase. 1, same stitch space, and 2. Let's do it again. I don't want to get in my bubble stitch over here. I'll have to fix that up later. So just be careful where that hook goes. So we've got single crochet stitch first, another single crochet stitch, and an increase. And you want to repeat that a total of 6 times, and after round number 12, you will have a total of 24 stitches in the round. Now, we are up to round number 13, and it's actually for the next 4 rounds. So this is rounds 13, 14, 15, and 16. You are just going to be working your normal single crochet stitches, of which there are 24. So 24 single crochet stitches in each round for the next 4 rounds, rounds 13, 14, 15, and 16. So at the end of round 16, we'll come back together and we'll complete the final few rounds. Rounds 16, 15, 14, and 13 are now all complete. And for round 17, we are going to be doing this. So you'll start off with 2 single crochet stitches. Here's the second one. and then we just work an invisible decrease. Remember, that's the front loop again, pull through and pull through. I'll show you one more time. 2 single crochet stitches first, 1, 2, 3, and then we need an invisible decrease, just like that. So I want you to repeat that another 4 times until you finish round number 17. Okay, and for round number 18 now, we just want to work a single crochet stitch followed by an invisible decrease. Now you may be thinking, hey, but you haven't put in the fiber filling. I'm going to do it after this round, but if you don't feel comfortable with that, feel free to put fiber filling in at this point. Otherwise, you can just wait for me. I will finish this round number 18, and then we will put in the fiber filling together. And here's the end of the round, so I'm just finishing off that invisible decrease. I'm coming into my first stitch, I'll make a slip stitch, and I'm going to pull the yarn through just a little bit more this time so it doesn't unravel later on. Then all you'll be doing is grabbing your fiber filling, and layer by layer, so just small amounts at a time, you will be working that into your body. Use a pair of cutters to condense it in place, but don't just grab a whole bunch of your fiber filling and shove it in. You want to do it layer by layer. That's the most important thing as you fill up your amigurumi plush here. It's just layer by layer and condense it with a pair of cutters, if you have a pair of cutters or something pointy that you can condense that cotton fiber with. So we're just going to fill up the entire body, and then we're going to do the last round together. So I'll let you guys complete that now. Just keep filling it up, and then we'll come to the last round together. Okay, so we've just filled up our body with fiber filling as best as we could. And you just want to insert your hook in the position where you last left off. And for this last round, all we will be doing is working 6 invisible decreases for the last round. Now, if you worked in a spiral, I will tell you now that you should only work 5 slip stitches and then make a slip stitch, work 5 invisible decreases and then work a slip stitch in the very next stitch space. That's the only difference there if you're working in a spiral. But otherwise, if you're working like me, slip stitch and chain 1, then you will just complete a total of 6 slip stitches. I don't know why I keep saying slip stitches, I mean invisible decreases. Sorry for the confusion there, but you can see it, the pattern written at the bottom at the same time. Okay, so we've finished those 6 invisible decreases, and I'm going to come in this first stitch with my hook and just make a slip stitch, an actual slip stitch this time, and pull the yarn through, leaving yourselves around about a 15 centimeter yarn tail. There we go. Now, if you do feel like you need to fill up your head a little bit more with fiber filling, feel free to do so, no problem at all. At this point here, you're going to grab your tapestry sewing or leather needle, and you're going to weave this yarn tail through just a little bit through the eye of the needle. And then this is what we're doing here. Can you see the 6 or 7 remaining stitches? If you did spiral, you'll have 7 remaining stitches in the final round. But for those who did the slip stitch and chain 1, you'll only have 6. What you want to do is work the needle through the front loops only of each of those remaining stitches. So we've just done 1 right there. Here's the second, front loop only. Remember, front loop only, guys. Then here's the third. Here's the fourth. And don't pull too tightly just yet. Here is the 5th front loop, and finally for us, we have the 6th front loop right here. Now that I've woven through each of those front loops, I'm going to pull the yarn in a clockwise direction until I have closed that top gap. Can you see that? That is looking great. It's pretty flat as well. If it's not flat, kind of just use your needle to just point in those little divots and bumps and things like that. Then your needle wants to go right into the center of that gap, or once was gap, and then you're going to come out anywhere else, pull this down so it flattens it even more, and just kind of work these divots into it at the same time. There we go. We've got a nice beautiful shaped head at this point, but now we need to weave in this yarn so we secure it in place. And can you see how we have this sort of X going across each of these stitches, and this diagonal part here comes over the top of this one underneath here. So I'm going to have my yarn follow that diagonal line. I'm coming down here and then I'll come out anywhere else, and this will just create a seamless look. Don't pull super tight, but see how you can't even see my sewn in yarn at that point? So that's why we do that. So just find that diagonal and mimic it essentially. So coming here, and you don't need to pull tight either. It's just doing this 3 or 4 times to really secure it in place, and that should be enough. So that was our 4th time right there. Okay, with the extra yarn, all you do is just cut off the excess and push whatever remains inside the body. And there we go, guys. So we've just made our body and head of Kuromi right here. This is looking great. So now let us continue with the collar. Okay, so in this section, we're now going to be making the collar, and I will be using black yarn. Now, I know I'm using black yarn, and I'll do my best to show you as well as I can what we're doing here. I know sometimes black yarn is a bit hard to see. But in any case, you'll have your little amigurumi plush, and you're going to turn it upside down. And you're going to insert your hook in the first back front loop after that slip stitch. Now, if you didn't make a slip stitch and you did spiral, just go anywhere along the back here. That's more than fine. So we've got our hook here, and now we're going to attach the black yarn and pull it through just like that. Okay, so we've pulled it through, and I want you to come into the very next front loop, have the yarn tail of the black come on top of the hook, and just make a single crochet stitch. So remember, that was the first front loop. We attached the yarn, and it's almost like we did a little slip stitch there. Well, we'll call it we'll just call it a slip stitch, but you just attached the yarn, and then you came into this very next stitch space and made a single crochet stitch. Now in that same next front loop, you're going to make a half double crochet stitch, just like that. Then you want to chain 1. And now this is the trickiest part. You want to come into the side of your half double crochet stitch. I hope you can see that. There's the side of it right there. And then you're going to make a picot stitch, which just means you're pulling the yarn through and you're making a slip stitch into the front loop, or just the loop on your hook. So this is probably the trickiest part, and sometimes you do want to turn your piece so you can do that. There we go. There's our first picot stitch right there. Then you'll chain 1, and you'll come into the same front loop again and make a regular slip stitch, just like that. So there is our first little point of our Kuromi collar. We're going to repeat this now. So in the next front loop, you'll just make a regular slip stitch, and we don't need to weave this in anymore. This is done now. So let's just make a regular slip stitch like that. And then in the next front loop, you'll be making your single crochet stitch first, followed by, in the same front loop, the half double crochet stitch. There you go. Chain 1. Come into the side of that half double crochet stitch, pull the yarn through and make your picot stitch, which is just a slip stitch into the loop on the hook. Chain 1, come into the same loop and make a slip stitch, and then you're ready to start again. So in the next front loop, you make a slip stitch. Then in the next front loop, you'll make a single crochet stitch first, followed by a half double crochet stitch, followed by chain 1, followed by that side picot stitch, I'm not even pulling my yarn enough to get that. So here is the picot stitch. Remember, you're just working that slip stitch. There we go. Chain 1, slip stitch into that same space, and then you're ready to start again. So you're going to repeat that pattern another 3 times, and then at the end we'll come together so we can make a slip stitch in the first loop, and then cut the yarn. So we'll do that together. Let's do the last one together. So we have 2 loops left. So this first front loop, remember, we're making the slip stitch, and then in the second you are making the single crochet stitch first, the half double crochet stitch, the chain 1, come into the side of the half double crochet stitch. Just want to make sure I'm fully in the side of it, and then work that slip stitch to create the point. Picot stitch is what you call that. Chain 1, come into the same stitch space front loop and make a regular slip stitch right there. And then from here, just come into this very first front loop that we worked in before and just make a slip stitch. And then we can pull out some yarn. Probably don't need that much actually. And there we go. So with this tail that we weaved in before, we can just cut this in place. We don't need that anymore, which is fantastic. And you have just created yourselves a little collar now around Kuromi's neck. And we can weave this black tail inside the body to hide it in place as well. So let's just do that quickly now. So I'll grab the yarn tail, pull it through the eye of my needle, and just weave it out somewhere. Done. Okay, I'm just going to chop the excess off here, push this inside, and we have almost finished the collar. There's one more thing left to do with this collar, and it's to make those pink balls around the outside. So let's do that quickly now. We're going to use pink colored yarn to make these little collar balls. And what I usually do, now feel free to just use normal 4-ply cotton yarn, but I kind of want my balls to be a little bit thinner. So I'm going to pull 2 strands of my 4-ply cotton yarn apart. It does get a little bit tangled here, but let's just untangle it as best as we can. Let's pull it until we've got 2-ply. So now I have 2-ply cotton yarn right here. And what I will do, I will just go anywhere and I'm going to find that, do you remember that picot stitch that we made? Well, I want you to insert your hook through the top of it. So go to the top of your picot stitch or wherever that chain 1 space was. So here you can see I've come into the very tip of my triangle and I'm just going to pull that pink yarn through and I will chain 2. 1, 2. So in the second loop from the hook, we're just making a single crochet stitch. Single crochet stitch right there. Then come inside that same tip point, pull this yarn tail and make a slip stitch into the loop on the hook. And then pull the yarn through that loop and pull it out. Now from here, with these 2 yarn tails, we're going to just tie them in a double knot. And once you have tied in a double knot, you're just going to get as close to the knot as possible. Make sure you're pulling that quite tight. And then get as close to the knot as possible and just chop it. And you've got your first ball here. And I want you to repeat that same process for every single tip. Once you're done, we'll come back. And there we go. So we've just completed each of those pink balls on our collars. So we are looking good. Now let us continue on with the hood portion of Kuromi. Okay, so to start the hood, we're going to be using 4-ply black cotton yarn. And I do apologize, it's black again, but you should be able to see what we're doing. And we'll work this together. Okay, so I want you to start with a magic ring. Just a regular magic ring, and then just work as normal our 6 regular single crochet stitches inside this magic ring. 2, 3, 4, 5, and number 6, just like that. Pull that yarn tail to close that magic ring gap. Come into the very first single crochet stitch of round number 1 and make a slip stitch. Done. Chain 1 And we now are on to round number 2. So for round number 2, you're just making 6 increases. Remember, that's 2 single crochet stitches inside the same stitch space. And once you've done that, you will have a total of 12 stitches in round number 2. For round number 3, it's just a single crochet stitch first, followed by an increase. And you will repeat that 6 times, and you will have 18 stitches after round number 3. Single first, followed by an increase, 1 and 2. Round number 4 is just working 2 single crochet stitches first, 1 and 2, followed by an increase, first, second, and just repeat that all the way around. You will have 24 stitches after round number 4. For round number 5, we are going to be working 3 single crochet stitches. So this is number 2, here's number 3, and then an increase, 1, 2. So remember, it's 3 stitches, single crochet stitches first, followed by an increase, repeating all the way around. You will have 30 stitches at the end of round 5. For round number 6, you'll just make 30 single crochet stitches in the round. So just regular single crochet stitches all the way around. And once we finish round number 6, we're going to come back together in round number 7, and it's going to be a little bit different. So for round number 7, this is where it's a little bit different, okay? So you've just chained 1. In the very first space, you're going to make a slip stitch. Then, for the next 2 stitches, you will make single crochet stitches. So this is the second single crochet stitch right here. In the next stitch space, you will make a half double crochet stitch. And then in the next one, you will make a double crochet stitch. Pull through 2, pull through 2. Now here is where we need to be vigilant and keep an eye on what we're doing. So we will make a treble crochet stitch. This is wrapping twice, coming in the next stitch space, and pull the yarn through 2 loops on the hook at a time. Then I want you to chain 2, 1, 2. Come into this side space of your treble crochet stitch and make a slip stitch into the loop on the hook. We call that a picot stitch. Just like that, and just make sure you get through all of it. Okay, from here you're going to wrap twice again and make another treble crochet stitch inside the same stitch space. Pull through 2, pull through 2 again, and pull through 2 again. Okay, so that was treble, chain 2, picot stitch, treble in the same stitch space. From here, we're going to wrap the yarn, come into the next stitch space, and just make a double crochet stitch. Just like that. Then you're going to wrap the yarn again. In the next stitch space, make a half double crochet stitch and repeat in the next stitch. So half double crochet stitch again. Then make a single crochet stitch. In the next stitch space, another single crochet stitch, and finally a slip stitch to finish it all off. And there you have just created your point. Hope you can see that. Try and put it in the light so you can see it. Okay, so that's the point. From here, you are going to do the following. You will start right here, and you can put a stitch marker here if you'd like as well, but you are just going to be making 1, 2, we'll count them together, 3 single crochet stitches, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 single crochet stitches. From here we are working in rows, guys, so in order to do that we need to chain 1 and turn our work, and from here we're just working another 18 single crochet stitches. So we just finished 18 single crochet stitches on that next row. Chain 1, turn, and I want you to complete another 5 more rows of 18 single crochet stitches. Just repeat another 3 times. So what I mean is, instead of those 5 rows, just only do 3 rows. You may have to adjust according to the size of your white yarn as well. Sometimes for me it's like 5, sometimes it's 4. For this one it's even 3, so I just have to be careful there. So all you want to do, sometimes the sizes of the yarns can be a little bit different even though you've bought from the same company, which is kind of frustrating, but it's okay. So that's the hood there, and you're just going to finish off however many rows you needed until you've completed that head. And I'm going to leave myself around about a 30 centimeter yarn tail right here. So I'm going to cut it off. And I'll show you what I've just done. So all I've done is I've pinned the very center to the very center of the white as well. So I've just pinned that in place. And then you want to find the very most center of your body and have that peak part come in the center of that. And once you've done that, you can pin the sides of your little hood across into the whites, and then you can start sewing along the back of that with the black yarn tail, is all I would say. But we can do that at a later point in time. Let's just pin it in place first with your pins. If you have those pins, I'm just going to point them, one in the side, one on the other side, and one in the middle, just to keep that secure in place. You can even pin the very front portion of that peak as well. Completely up to you how you want to do that. So I'll probably do that right now. So I'm just going to put a little pin right there. Okay, so this is looking really good now. We'll have the eyes coming here, a little nose over here. And this is the hood. So we're going to set this aside for now. We're not going to sew this just yet. And we're going to start with the little, I don't want to call them ears, but you know those like jester things that come out. So we're going to do those now. So this is what we're making now right here. The circle followed by the sort of pointy triangle section that will fit on the top of your kuromi. So this is how you do it. Grab some black yarn and make 6 single crochet stitches inside a magic ring. So let's do that together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and number 6. After you've done number 6, pull that yarn tail at the back here to close your magic ring. And as you make your slip stitch in the very first stitch space in round number 1, grab this tail and have it over the hook as you make that slip stitch. Slip stitch right there. Okay, so from here you're going to chain 1. You're going to skip this very first stitch space, skip the very first one, and come into the second and make just a regular single crochet stitch. Chain 1, turn. Then make an increase, 1 and second single crochet stitch in that. Chain 1 and turn. Then you'll make a single crochet stitch first, followed by an increase, 1 and 2. Chain 1 and turn. Make 2 single crochet stitches, 1 and 2, followed by an increase in the final one, 1 and 2, and finally chain 1, turn, make 3 single crochet stitches, 1, 2, 3, and in your last stitch space you will be making an increase, 1 and 2. And after this, pull the yarn through and give yourself around about a 15 centimeter tail, because you'll be using this to weave in your yarn as you stick it to the head. Now with this one as well, you can weave this along the sides here or at the back here, just to weave it and hide it in place. Do that with both of these yarn tails at the top here. Leave these yarn tails for sewing, and you should have 2 of these at the end. We are now going to start the tail with black colored yarn, so get yourself some black colored yarn. From here you're gonna leave a little bit of a tail we'll weave that in anyway at the end, and just make yourselves a slip knot, just like that. Now from here you want to chain 2, 1, 2, come in the very first loop and make yourselves a loose slip stitch. Now it needs to be loose because you're gonna need to get in there later on. Chain 1, turn your piece around, come into that loose slip stitch, and this is what I mean, it needs to be loose so you can get into it. Wiggle your yarn hook until you're finally in it, and make an increase in that space. So there's 1, and keep wiggling that yarn. You might need to come in and out a few times just to make that space a little bit bigger. But there we go, we've just made an increase. Chain 1 and turn. This is the 3rd row now. You'll make a single crochet stitch first, followed by an increase, 1 and 2, like that. Chain 1, turn your piece around, make 2 single crochet stitches this time, 1 and 2, followed by, in this last space here, an increase, 1 and 2. Okay, so from here you can actually just cut the yarn. We'll weave this in a bit later as well, but that's the point. That's the point of your tail. Now we are going to come at the back here, so turn this around and find the 2 middle stitches. Grab your black yarn, and actually you could probably weave this in as you go, put it on top of the hook, and all you need to do here is chain 1 after you've attached the black yarn, come in here, make your single crochet stitch, and then in the next space have those 2 loops on top of the hook, make your 2nd single crochet stitch, chain 1, and you're just going to keep going. I'll probably do about maybe 6 to 8 rows, so that's the 2nd row right there. Here's the 3rd row once I get in there, 3rd row, the 4th row, chain 1, turn at the end of each row. Here's the 5th row, chain 1 and turn, the 6th row, 1 and 2, chain 1 and turn, the 7th row, 1 and 2, and maybe just one more. This is now the 8th row. Okay, that is more than enough. So 8 rows of just those 2 single crochet stitches. Pull your yarn through. You can leave yourselves about a 15 to 20 centimeter tail. You don't need much there at the end. With these yarn tails that you wove in before, they can now be cut. With this one, you want to weave it into the back of this arrow over here. So just get your needle and just start weaving this down here. Doesn't need to be all the way down, but 4 or 5 to 6 little stitches at the back you can weave this into, and then we'll use this to sew to the body. We are now going to make the skull, so grab your pink colored yarn, and for me, I'm actually going to, well, actually, let's just do this properly. I'm going to be using 2-ply yarn, so I'm just taking 2 strands apart, but I'm going to do it 1 strand at a time, because otherwise I feel like it's going to get really tangled here, which is something I do not want to happen. And I'll take one more piece out, just one at a time. Just pull that through. There we go. Okay, so sometimes it's just nicer to take one out at a time. So you've got your pink yarn here. You're still working with your 1.9mm hook. You're going to make a magic ring, and you're going to work 5 single crochet stitches inside this magic ring. So I will show you here how it is done. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Close the magic ring by just pulling that yarn tail, as you can see. Come into your very first stitch space that you made inside that magic ring. You may need to wiggle your hook just a little bit to get in there, because remember, you're working with 2-ply yarn now. make a slip stitch, chain 1, and then in the second round you're going to just be making 5 increases until you get to the end. So that's the first increase there. This one will be the second increase. Then you will have the third increase, 1 and 2. The fourth increase, 1 and 2, followed by the final increase. This is the 5th increase. 1 and 2, make a slip stitch in the first stitch of that round. And now from here, we are going to be making those little teeth divots. So in the first section, we're going to chain 2 and come into the second loop from the hook and just make a slip stitch. Or you could actually just make a single crochet stitch, just like that. Then we're going to come into the same stitch space and make a slip stitch here, just like that. Then chain another 2, 1 and 2, come into the second loop from the hook and make another single crochet stitch. Then you're going to come into the next stitch space and make a slip stitch. Then chain 2 again, 1 and 2, make a single crochet stitch in the second loop from the hook, and in the same stitch space you will make a slip stitch. There we go. Now if you find that these little divots are a little bit big, you can make slip stitches instead of single crochet stitches there. Completely up to you how you want to do that. But essentially this is what we're looking like here. We can cut this bit at the back, or you can sew it in, completely up to you again. I'm just going to cut it. And with this yarn tail, we've left around about 15 centimeters here. We are going to use that to sew our skull to the top of Kuromi's hood when the time comes. We've made all of the little pieces, as you can see, and now it's time to start sewing it all on. So we're going to start with the hood. I'm going to move these to the side, and we'll start with the hood, and we're going to just grab our sewing needle or leather needle and start sewing this hood to the back portion here, and maybe just a little bit at the top. So let's do that right now. So here we go. I'm going to kind of talk through it. I've got this centered with my pins. I've got this as my yarn tail, and I'm coming basically just directly where it should end over here. Come right to the base, and then I'm just going to work like maybe 2 stitches across and come out with my yarn. Pull that. Then I'm going to come at the top here, just like that, and I'm going to come across the top and come into that same stitch space, and then I'll come out another 2 or 3 stitch spaces across at the base. Again, it always has to be at the base, guys, just so you can get that hood set in place. So in the same way, I'm going to work through that last stitch, and then come across, come in the base again, and then another 3 or so stitch spaces. I'm going to come across again, pull that through. So you can see how I'm not working in every stitch space, we're just working in a few, and that is more than fine. It's secured in place by doing that anyway. And wherever this hood should finish here at the corner, I'm going to have my yarn tail come through that. Should be at the base again. So right here we are. And then in the same way, I'm just going to have the needle come through, and then I'm going to come down straight in that space again. Now if you can see any parts that kind of lift up, you are going to sew those in. So over here is probably a section where I'd like to have it come down into the base of my Kuromi head. Now I'm going to come right at the corner here, and that was definitely not the corner that I hit, but let's get to the corner. So around about here is where I want to be, right in the corner space right there. And I'm just going to sew right up here. Then I'll come across here and do the exact same thing. I'm not going to pull too tight either. I just want to be very careful how I pull this. Right here at the corner, or not at the corner, at the point, I'm going to have my needle come through, and it's got to be directly underneath it. You don't want to go to the side. pull that through and not too tight again, and then you're going to come right at the tip of this point, come up, come back inside that same stitch space where you just left off, and then work your needle through. You can take that out now, come over here, and then one more at this corner as well. Don't pull too hard. Come over here, and if you want to, you can kind of sew a little bit at the crown or the top of the head, just in a few different spaces to really secure that in place. But remember, you don't want to pull the yarn too hard because you don't want indentations across the hood. Okay, so that is done. Cut your yarn, take out the pins, and you have a nicely secured hood on your Kuromi body or head. And there we go. Okay, so let us begin with the next thing. I think the most perfect thing to do is add these ears or these jester things at the top here. So let us do that now. So pinning this first one on, you can see that we've kind of got it out to the diagonal, not too much. And I'm kind of starting, here's round 1, here's round 2, between rounds 2 and 3 at the center here, and it just pokes out all the way to the end here. So all I'm going to be doing with that yarn tail, I'll show you here now, is we're going to find where that point is at the end. And if it started up here, you can start up here as well. Completely up to you. There is no perfect way of doing this, but we're going to just either work front to back or side to side. And that's up to you as well. There's no complete and perfect way here. But you're going to just work through these stitches back to back or side to side, however you want to do that. So I've kind of worked mine from the side to side. As you can see, I'm coming through the side, but some people might go back or front, back to front. So again, this is up to you, how you like to sew, or whatever just works best for you. So I'm bringing that around as I come and work through. Remember, it's got to be on that sort of diagonal, but then you're going side to side. And then as I come side to side, I'm coming into the stitch spaces that correspond closest to where my needle is. I'm pulling it, and then I'm coming into that stitch space, and I might work one right at the end here again. So I'm coming down to the end because I really want to secure this in place, and I'll just come through that very first stitch space again, just so it's nicely secured in place, because I don't know how well I secured it, especially because that's where it began with the tail and we didn't really quite go through that stitch space. So that's what I'm going to do here. I can take out this pin, and we have now a nicely secured piece up here. You are going to do the exact same with the other one on the other side and have the yarn tails emerge in the same stitch space, because at the end we're going to tie them in a double knot and work them back inside the head. Alright, so I'll let you do the other one now, guys. And this is what it should look like at the end. So you've got your two little jester things at the top here. You've got the hood all sewn in place. Now we can, at this point, pin our skull right to the top here, and it should be centered nicely in the middle. You can pin it in 3 different places just so you can be sure that it doesn't come apart. You can see how you've got little teeth at the front here, and then we're going to sew around this. Now we will sew in the back loops only. I probably didn't leave myself enough yarn, but that's okay. If you don't have enough yarn, cut yourself some new yarn and just weave it through. So we are going to do this one little bit at a time. So you're coming in the back loops of the pink skull, and have the needle underneath the skull. You can't be out the side here. You have to be kind of underneath the skull. And that's a really important point, because if you're not underneath it, you are going to be seeing your sewing. And I don't think that's what we want to achieve. So make sure you're underneath. You don't have to sew in every single stitch space as well. You can sew every 2, every 3. You just want to make sure you've got it secured in place. So you can see I'm kind of like every 3-ish, but I'm always coming underneath my skull as I'm sewing. This one's a little bit further out, but I'm just going to try it and hopefully, yeah, it worked out. Because you can't see it, which is okay. This is good, guys. Okay, and then with your 3 little teeth divots, we're just going to sew them one at a time. So there's one. Doesn't need to be perfect. You just want to try and have them in a place where they can be secured. So coming up here, I'm going to remove this pin so it's just a little bit easier for me to see. Come into the side here, come down into the same spot, and then come into my last one where this last tooth divot should be. I don't even know if they're teeth. A skull, do they have teeth? Yeah, I guess. It must be teeth, right? Teeth is a bone. Alright, so coming up here, take out that pin. Last one. Come up through this section. Come across to the side or another little area where you can get in there. I might even come through the side over here. So again, there's no exact place to sew. You've just got to be a little bit intuitive and have it all work out in the end. And it will. Just remember, tip there is to sew underneath the skull, not on top. Take out that. We can weave this in a few times inside the head/hood to really kind of have it in place there in between all of the fiber fillings so it just gets stuck. We can even come out at the body over here to have it further away. Once you've done that, you're going to grab your scissors, pull, cut, and with your needle or the end of your hook, just push that back inside the body to hide. Okay, so we have now sewn on the skull. You got the ears, you got the hood. Let us sew on the tail now at the back here. So for those of you who weren't aware, I had a little piece up here and I weaved it through the back just using my needle. I just went through some of these stitch spaces, like starting from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just came like this. Just like that. And then you just weave it through and then cut that remaining portion. And with your other yarn tail, you're going to just stick it to the back of the body. So let's do that now. So as you can see here, I've pinned the tail to the lower section of the body. So that's what it will look like once it's sewn on. And all I'm going to do using this yarn tail is just sew it in place. Super easy. Just take it slow. If you're not used to sewing, just take it slowly. Okay, so I'm going to come up around here, take out this pin. I'm going to sew back in here, come out somewhere else, just so my needle doesn't get in the way. Pull that. I'm coming back in this same stitch space, and I'm coming to this side over here. Take out this pin now. And then I'm going to come over here, come up over here, and then come through here, and maybe come back down here. Find a little place to enter that hook, and then it's done. That is nicely secured now in place. There's the tail all there. I'm going to leave this yarn tail here for just a moment because what I'm going to do is eventually tie that with something else. But we have a couple more things left to do, such as the eyes and the nose and the little eyes over here. So we need black yarn and pink yarn to do all of that. So I have just cut myself around about a 37 centimeter piece of black colored yarn, and I'm going to pull it apart so that I'm working with 2-ply yarn. Now again, you can work with 4-ply yarn, that's no problem at all. I just like to have these thinner yarn strands here just to make it look a little prettier, especially when it comes to sewing the eyelashes. So I have pinned the eyes in place, and this will work out a little bit different for you as well, but essentially you're going to start up here and come down 1 stitch space and just work your way between those 2 stitch spaces over and over until you create the desired thickness that you want. So this is where I think my eyes should be placed, so that's where I'm going to have them. Now I'm going to have this yarn come through anywhere doesn't really matter where. Actually, I might even work it so it's coming through this stitch space over here, so I can cut those two yarn tails together. So I want, remember how the eye was pinned over here, so this is where I'm going to drag that tail, and then we're just going to come directly underneath and pull it up just like that. And we're going to do that until we have the thickness that we would like. So this is the second time I went around. Let's see how many times we work this around. That's the third time. So maybe just one more actually. One more over here, and then I'm going to come into this pin spot. Come up here. That's one perfect eye right there. Looking good. Get rid of that fluff and do the exact same thing over here. So you're just working back and forth between those two stitch spaces. So there's one. Until you have created the thickness of your eye that you would like. Two. So we did 4 for the other one, so we must have it even, as in consistent, because you want the eyes to be the same thickness. 3, and this will be the 4th one, and I'm going to come at the top here. So we've got our 2 eyes right now. This is looking good, and I'm going to come right at the top and work a diagonal across 2 stitch spaces and 1 up, just to create the first little diagonal eyelash, and the other one can just come out directly straight in 2 stitch spaces across, and we'll do the same for the other eye. So there we go, we've got 2 eyelashes over here. We'll do the same over here, so a diagonal 2 stitch spaces across and 1 up. So this is where we're coming here, come back over here, pull that first, and then come back and over here. And now we want the yarn tail. Oh, actually, there's some other place that we want to go, and I'll show you that in just a moment. Remember over here we needed 2 eyes, so I could technically use this same piece to get there. So let's do that now. I'm going to come up here first. And now we're ready for the eyes. So I'm going to try 1 eye. Let's just see if we can get there. This is why it's a really good idea to work with a sewing needle or a sharp needle here, so that you can get into those stitch spaces. So there's 1 over here, and we're just going to work to the other side. So there's 1. It doesn't have to be perfect. Clearly mine is not perfect. I just want to get maybe over here to make it a little bit more symmetrical. And I'll work this one up as well. And now I'll come back down here into this stitch space where all the yarn tails are. Okay, we've made 2 little things up here. We probably could have rearranged it a little bit better, but that is okay. And then we're going to tie these 2 yarn tails together in a double knot. Make that second knot a little bit tighter than the first. Cut the yarn. And either using the back end of your needle or your hook to push that in place so you can hide it. Okay, so we do have the eyes now. We have these eyes. Clearly I pulled a little too hard there, so we're just going to pull that up a little bit, create that thickness that we want. And then we need a nose to finish this off, and that is going to be in pink. And you can just use either your normal 4-ply yarn or 2-ply yarn, completely up to you how you want to do that here. So I'm just going to chop about 20 centimeters worth of pink yarn. I'm going to weave it through my needle, and here let's just go across 1 stitch space, 1 stitch space in the middle of those 2 eyes, and we'll go across it twice. Twice is more than enough for my 4-ply yarn. If you had 2-ply yarn, you might do 3. 3 times. It really is up to you and your preference right there. So I'm going to pull this up so that comes down there. This is looking fantastic. Tie together in a double knot as we have done multiple times, and then chop your yarn. Once this is nice and tightly knotted together, chop your yarn at the top here. Make sure you don't chop anything else, as I was just about to do. And then using the back of your hook or your needle, push that in to hide it in place. And there we go. This is the final look for Kuromi. As you can see here, it's perfect. And I hope you guys were able to do the same. Maybe you even made a better one than me in this tutorial. But this is your Kuromi and I'm loving it. Very beautiful. Add a keychain or a yarn chain if you'd like. If it's a yarn chain, just add 50 chains and then slip stitch back in the same spot over here. If you're adding a keychain, just add a keychain regularly. And there we go. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next tutorial. Thanks guys. Bye.